Hi, everybody. Let's work on the last chapter of this course, ethical and regulatory environment, social environment in e-commerce. In this chapter, you're going to cover all the ethical issues, the political issues, and all the other barriers that are creating a hindrance towards the success of your e-commerce and what ways you can overcome these barriers in a legally, as well as follow the rules of the country in which you are conducting an e-commerce business, and how you can make a better decision based on the knowledge that you achieve with the aid of this chapter in this course. Chapter 10 is the last chapter of this course, and after this I would be wrapping up with the aid of put your learning to practice, and hopefully we'll have some substantial coverage of the Scrumptious Indulgence website. So if you look at the learning objectives, you need to understand the foundations for legal and ethical issues in electronic commerce, describe intellectual property law and understand its adjudication, explain privacy and free speech issues and their challenges. As you can see, these are the issues that we really want to get answers about. When you read on topics over the internet, you find a lot of answers. You find a lot of people making comments and sharing their experiences on copyright issues and intellectual property and everything. But the best thing that you can do is have yourself covered. If you are in a business, try to get copyright coverage. Okay, I will share with you a copyright site based in United Kingdom, and I will show you how you can go about getting a copyright coverage for yourself by the end of this chapter. The best thing you can do is get yourself covered so that you do not undergo any kind of intentional or unintentional infringement, somebody copying out or stealing your ideas. So you should be covered, and that is the first thing that you do before you launch. You need to make sure that you are covered, you are copyrighted. Describe types of fraud on the internet and how to protect against them. Describe the needs and methods to protect both buyers and sellers. Describe electronic commerce related societal issues. Describe green electronic commerce and IT. Very interesting, very popular topic. Green electronic commerce and green IT. We'll talk about that more. All right. So, ethical challenges and guidelines, ethical principles and guidelines. Example: who owns user generated content? Okay, who owns it? Unless and until you have a clause in your website that says that whatever you type here belongs to us, the user generated content does not belong to you. So the best thing that you can do is, instead of having assumptions up in the air, write it down. Believe me, it's the only difference between owning a content and not owning a content is having it in writing, in black and white. So just try to write it down that this is something that belongs to me, and no matter what, it belongs to me. Have it covered, have it up on your website, and all of these things can go in the terms and conditions section of your website. Okay, so business ethics is a form of applied ethics that examines ethical principles and moral or ethical problems. So these are the business ethics problems. These are moral and ethical issues that you will think whether I should go for this, whether I should not go for this, whether I should stop, whether I should start. The kind of critical decisions that you need to take. The issues of internet abuse in the workplace, monitoring employees, is it ethical? All these questions you need to answer in this chapter. Ethics is a branch of philosophy that deals with what is considered to be right and wrong. Privacy is the right to be left alone and free of unreasonable personal intrusions. Okay, ethics is something, it is it is not the law, but it is like a moral philosophy, your philosophical perspective of what is morally right and morally wrong. So ethics is that branch. And believe me, in college, ethics is taught as a separate course, because college students, as we age, from the age of 4, we start developing a sense of ethics. But as we age, we go through a lot of changes, and our sense of ethics is very personal. It's like, some dilemma situations, we feel that this is correct answer, that is not correct answer, but this is all reflected by the kind of experiences you had in your life. And sometimes the experiences that you had in your life, unfortunately, do not help you make sound ethical decisions. Okay, your sense of ethics is seriously disturbed if you've had many negative experiences in life. Okay, for this reason, you go to college, you make sure you take an ethics course, and in the ethics course you learn a lot of situations, and you're asked your answer, and your answer is compared to the standard answer. Believe me, the standard answer is something that you should be shaping yourself towards. So sense of ethics is something that is the norm of the society, something that is readily acceptable by as a general rule. Exceptions are not to be considered when you are working on ethical situations. So there are many things that you need to think about when you're talking about ethical situation: your place, your time, your location, your situation, your perspective, your experiences. All of these shape your ethical decisions. So you have a lot of ethical challenges based on, as an e-commerce business provider. And privacy is, of course, once you have a lot of people sharing private information with you over the internet, you owe them the privacy service. You need to make sure that their data stays in one place. One of the ways that you can ensure privacy over the online environment is by adding a secure service layer. Okay, and secure socket layer, secure service layer. This layer is something that prevents other people from hackers, potential hackers, from stealing customer information from your website. There are many other ways in which you can ensure ethics. One of them is by mentoring the comments that are taking place under a certain page, what kind of comments people are passing, and how you're moderating them, how you're redirecting them in the right direction, desirable direction. Okay, safeguards to minimize exposure to risk of criminal or civil charges. Okay, if you look at a website, any website you can pick up, okay, evaluate a website with the aid of these points. Let's do it. Supposing you have a scrumptious indulgence website, ask these questions. Does the website clearly post shipment policies and guarantees? Can the company fulfill these policies and guarantees? Does the website explain what happens in case of a missed deadline? Does it comply with Federal Trade Commission rules? Federal Trade Commission rules are many. Just let's take a look at them. Check this out. I googled it and this is what I found out. It's a universal or global rule, Bureau of Consumer Protection. Okay, basically that's what it is. It's the Bureau of Consumer Protection's mandate is to protect consumers against unfair or deceptive acts or practices in commerce. With the written consent of the Commission, Bureau attorneys enforce federal laws related to consumer affairs and rules promulgated by FTC. FTC Trade Commission rules are many. For example, let me move this a little bit up. Federal Trade Commission protecting America's consumers. In addition to its authority to investigate law violations by individuals and businesses, the Commission also has federal rulemaking authority, okay, to ensure industry-wide regulations. For example, you have rules and guidelines, okay, that govern a lot of things. Advertising, okay, 900 number rule. All of these things you have to know as a business provider. You have to study this and get yourself empowered. because lack of knowledge is no excuse for breaking the law unintentionally. You will get in trouble if you break any of these laws, especially if you're operating in the United States. And believe me, many countries, they use these guidelines as a reference model, and if you have it here, you will definitely, most probably, there's a good chance that your country will also be enforcing their rules the same way. Okay. And there are many rules here: advertising allowances and other merchandising payments and services, advertising of warranties and guarantees, amplifier rule, automated fuel ratings, bait advertising, business opportunity rule, spam rule, care of labeling of textile, wearing apparel, and certain piece goods, children's online privacy protection rule, COPA Act, it's very important, content lens rule, cooling off period for sales made at home or other locations. Please take a look at this. As far as scrumptious indulgence is concerned, the cooling off period provides that it is unfair and deceptive for sellers engaged in door-to-door sales valued at more than $25 to fail to provide consumers with disclosures regarding their right to cancel the sales contract within 3 business days of transaction. So you have to read into all of these, and you have to apply these rules to your own website. Okay. And it is given in even more detail here. Okay. And try to use these rules as a reference for your own website. Deceptive pricing, energy labeling rule, deceptive advertising, and Fair Credit Billing Act, eyeglass rule, fair credit. I mean, there are many here, many rules here. Financial franchise rule, free credit report rule, and all of these rules are here. Holder in due course, identity theft and assumptions deterrence act, leather guides, R value, telemarketing. I mean, can you appreciate the list of rules here? You are likely to find something that fits your own business. Please try to fetch it, try to take it out, and try to apply it to your own business. Alright, so okay, let me move this a little bit here. Yes, now it's okay. So does the website clearly post shipment policies and guarantees? Yes, you're supposed to always post shipment policies and guarantees on your website. Can the company fulfill those policies and guarantees? Does the website explain what happens in case of missed deadline? Does it comply with Federal Trade Commission rules? Okay. Does the website clearly articulate procedures for customers to follow when returning gifts or seeking a refund for services not received? So let's take a look at the Scrumptious Indulgence website, for example. Okay, check this out. This was something that we created together, remember? Yes, it looks much better like that. Yes, Scrumptious Indulgence, and we had privacy and guidelines here. We have privacy statements, we have cookie statements, and we have terms and conditions here. Okay, our details. I mean, I'm supposed to change all of that. I just copied and pasted from somewhere, but all of these have to be in line with the FTC, Federal Trade Commission. Gift vouchers, discount codes, copyright. Okay. All content included in the website, such as text, graphics, logos, buttons, icons, images, audio clips, digital downloads, data compilations, and software, is the property of this company and is protected by this area and international copyright laws. You may not systematically extract or reutilize parts of the contents of the website without our consent. Okay, in particular, you may not copy images, utilize any data mining, robots, or similar data gathering and extraction tools to extract, whether once or many times, for reutilization of any substantial parts of this website without this company's express written consent. You may also not create or publish your own database that features substantial, that is, a prices, product listing parts of this website without our consent. Okay, the point here is the degree to which the detail that is provided in the terms and conditions website. So I cannot stress that enough in this chapter. You need to make sure that you have a privacy statement, your content, your privacy statement and terms and conditions, and also your sitemap. I'm going to talk about more about sitemap, how to include sitemap, but that means that you need to make sure that your content is transparent. The terms and conditions of using your website is transparent. It's easily available to everybody. Okay, the reason why you need to have a sitemap is so that Google can easily see the content, and Google search engine is able to check out or be able to rank your website easily. Supposing this is my website address, and in order to find my sitemap, I just need to add sitemap.xml to the end of this address and just hit enter, and this is the XML file associated with my website. Okay, all the pages that are in my website are listed here. Okay, and you need to submit this to Google. In order to submit this to Google, you have to go through certain steps, and these steps are written here. Submitting your sitemap directly to Google. Why do you need to do that? Because you can submit your sitemap directly to Google via Google Search Console. This makes it easier for Google to crawl and categorize your site. So sitemap is also one of the things, it's a legal thing. Legal rule, you need to add terms and conditions, privacy statements, and you need to make sure that you have a sitemap listed with google.com. So select your site on Google Search Console homepage, click crawl, click sitemaps, add test sitemap, and all of this. Add the entire address, and then your site will be added to Google search engine. Okay, then you need to make sure that has the company checked backgrounds before entering agreement with the third party. Okay, and does the website clearly articulate procedures for customers to follow when returning gifts or seeking refund for services not received? All of these have to be documented on the website, just like I demonstrated. Has the company checked backgrounds before entering agreements with third-party vendors and supply chain partners? Do those agreements with vendors and partners indemnify, that is, protect the company against their failure to deliver goods or process transactions on time and correctly? All of these things you need to make sure that you have listed them in terms and conditions. If a third-party ISP or web hosting service is used, are there safeguards if the site crashes and is infected by malware, or if bandwidth is insufficient to meet all your customers' needs? So you need to make sure that you have a disaster recovery plan, you have a data recovery plan. All of these I have mentioned in my previous videos. So all of these have to be in place in your website, and it is a legal requirement. Is there sufficient customer support staff? Are they knowledgeable and adequately trained to process inquiries from customers? So you need to make sure the people that you hire can speak, can interact, that can communicate, and are able to answer questions in a timely manner. Alright folks, with this, let me end this video, and up next I'm going to talk about more topics. Alright, so stay tuned. I'll be right back.